You can grow houseplants even if you don't have a green thumb, because I'm a plant killer too, but I won't let that stop me from trying to grow these gorgeous, healthy plants. So let's talk about the life and death of my houseplants and try to keep them alive for another year. Let's start with this money tree that is doing so well it keeps falling over. It needs a bigger pot. This pot is from a Gerber Daisy plant that died. I'm not sure what killed the Gerber Daisy that came in this pot, but I think it had something to do with the mold in it. I got some indoor plant potting mix for my indoor plants, and it even has directions on the back, so we're going to be following those. Oh, smells good. The first step is to make sure your pot has a drainage hole at the bottom. I think we're good. Then you fill it a third of the way full. Does that look like a third? I guess. We'll go with that. The third step is just loosen root ball, place plant in pot. So I'm gonna try to take this plant out of its pot, and I think loosen the root ball just means to shake the soil out. I feel like I'm just destroying roots. I've had this money tree for about 2 years, and it's one of my more successful plants that I've owned, so I'm really happy with it. I think this is a rubber band that was just in the base of my plant. But I think it really wants to go outside for the summer because the leaves are starting to droop towards the light sources. So when we're done potting this, we'll let it sit for a few days inside and then take it outside for the summer to get some more sunlight. Those roots look pretty loose to me, so let's try to pot it. Step 4 says to add more mix and press it lightly. That's why I'm wearing an apron. Kojo, stop it. If your cat is a plant eater like my Cujo here, make sure you put all of your toxic plants up on a shelf that he can't get to. Stop it, buddy. The golden Pathos, the Aloe Vera, and the Wandering Jew are all bad for this cat, so I have to keep him away from them. The spider plant and the money tree are okay for him to eat, but I still don't like him eating them, so I put all of my plants up just to be safe. Oh, look at your little face. Go, shoo. Oh, plant eater. It doesn't say how much to fill it, but I know I have enough room to water it with this, and this money tree is not falling out, so I think we're good. This money tree has always had a little bit of a leaning problem, and I know I should rotate it so it gets better sunlight, but that's kind of hard to do in the winter, especially with it falling over. So hopefully with this pot, it won't fall over, and I can rotate it better in the summer. It's definitely more stable already. Step 5 is to water your plant and let it drain, and I think I'm going to do that when I'm done repotting all of these. Let's throw out this old soil so we can use this pot to replant one of the plants in a smaller pot. I'm going to use it to repot this aloe vera that I purchased at the same time as this money tree. What are you doing? This aloe vera encompasses both life and death, because it died and came back to life and is healthier than it ever was before. Aloe vera is very susceptible to cold, and this plant was exposed to freezing temperatures when we moved. I could immediately tell that these leaves were frozen and dying, and then slowly over the course of a few months, each leaf turned yellow and started to die. But I did not give up hope with this aloe vera plant.
I did.
You did, didn't you? Now that looks like a root ball. Definitely needs to be repotted because these roots are starting to grow into themselves and don't have anywhere to go. I'm gonna be gentler with this one because it is a more weather-torn plant than the money tree. And after the leaves started dying on this aloe vera, the first new growth leaves also died. So it took a lot of new growth and a lot of patience and proper watering to get this aloe vera to come back to life. And all these leaves you see here are new growth within the last about 6 months. Those roots are really nice and healthy looking. They're very thick. And you can also tell where I cut off all the dead leaves on the side of the plant. It's a little wiggly, but maybe it'll settle in once the roots take root. This aloe vera is a great example to show that there is life after death for some plants. So if you think a plant is dying or is going to die, as long as you interact right away and try to take the proper countermeasures, sometimes you can save your plant's life. But I don't know if there is any hope for this spider plant. That's the third one I've killed. This spider plant did okay for about a year, and it did really well last summer when it had a lot more sunlight, but I think this wandering Jew ended up clouding out some of the light from the plant light that we have indoors, and it just didn't get enough sunlight. Which brings me to this gorgeous wandering Jew that is wandering around quite nicely. I think this color is really gorgeous, and when it gets full sunlight, it brightens up even a bit more. This plant has a lot of these dead leaves that need to be picked off before I decide what I want to do with it. Picking dead leaves off your plants is important because dead leaves cost your plant more energy that it could be using on the rest of the healthier part of the plant. My mother-in-law gave this to me and my husband about 3 years ago. So this is one of the older still living plants that we have. This dead mystery plant also came from that group of cuttings, and I think I'll probably end up using this plant to repot it. But first, I have to clip these vines away from the dead leggy areas and repot them in water so they can grow new roots closer to the living, healthier part of the plant. Just like these golden Pathos clippings that I started rooting about a year ago. Don't die. A lot of plants will grow in water. You just have to be careful to clean it out and keep them topped off with water. Otherwise, the roots can dry out or get root rot, which is where they turn black and really mushy. And these two pieces of golden Pathos actually had a lot of root rot on them, and last night I was able to clean most of the dead roots off, so the rest of it is healthy. And the plants themselves, the leaves, are very healthy, so I think these will do just fine if we repot them now. And you will do just fine if you don't eat the plants. And I'm going to use the pot that I just took the aloe vera out of. And I think I can get away with potting them together since the root systems are pretty small right now. And I think that's pretty good. I just need to prune off this one leaf that's gotten kind of burnt, I think, in the sunlight. But you don't have to prune your golden Pathos all that much because the leaves, like this one that's all dried up, will usually just fall off on their own. This golden pothos is the oldest one I have. My mother-in-law gave it to me 3 years ago as a little clipping, and it's grown a lot since then, but it also used to be bigger. You can see right here at one point, somebody, not me, fell into this plant and beheaded it. That is a technical plant term. And this is the head portion of the pothos that got beheaded. You can actually plant these back into water and they will regrow roots and be just fine. So this is another plant like the aloe vera that has a life after death. This one does have a few leaves that need to be removed, but overall it's a very healthy plant, even though it's just growing in water. These are chew marks from that cat, if you're wondering why this one needs to be cut off. Not all plants can continue to grow in a vase of water like this past the point of being a little cutting, but golden pothos can, and since this one started to do so well once I put it in water, I just left it in water because I thought it looked nice. And I want to say it's been in this vase of water for about a year now, so if it wasn't doing well, I would have known because it probably would have died. I think the easiest thing about keeping a plant in a vase of water and no soil is that you don't have to think about when to water it. You'll just see if it has water covering the roots or not, and you can just top it off really easily. And now I can take some of these leggier looking wandering Jew bits and put them in this water cup that the pothos is no longer sitting in, and over time they'll grow a few roots, maybe a week or so, and then I can pot them into this blue pot. What are you doing? Good job. This video is really hard for him. Oh! You're a menace. I decided I'm just gonna take all the little leaves and vines out of here, regrow all the roots higher up on the stem where it's healthier, and repot some of them back into this pot when I'm done. I think it'll end up being healthier that way, and I did end up doing that last year with this same plant, so I know it will be okay, it'll survive, it's not gonna die from doing that. It's looking a little full, so I'm gonna put them in a bigger jar. That's probably good for now. I should stop before I actually kill one of these plants. If you guys have any tips on how not to kill your houseplants, let me know down in the comments before, and please leave a like on this video if you haven't already. I really enjoyed talking about the life and death of my houseplants today, but I do need to go water them and put them back up on a shelf so this cat can't get to them. So I will see you guys next week.